Well, hello. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, recording live from Arlington, New York. Arlington, Vermont. Uh, and looks like Randall is here. Thank you for showing up. Um, Seems to be a relatively uh, uh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, I guess, a sort of kind of interesting night tonight. Possibly some more watching glue dry. Uh, but the thing is that not only are we watching glue dry, but actually laying down tracks. So that's why it's probably not going to be very exciting tonight. But I'll do my best to make it exciting. But on the work front, for those who've been following that, um, uh, Jay, the guy I've been training, did his first solo Friday this Friday. So I'll find out tomorrow how well he did. When I left on Thursday, there was only uh, 8 things that he had to do, but they were sort of kind of time sensitive. So I said that he's going to be probably very busy in the morning, but in the afternoon, probably just a lot of cleaning. So we'll find out exactly how well it went. I have very high confidence in this guy. Uh, he is the type of person that if he gets confused on something, he actually asks a question, not necessarily have to, not having the attitude of, oh, I'm the guy, I'm in, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing and all that, so I can't ask it. I got to do it all myself and not tell any. I'm going to do it my way. If I don't understand it, it's screw everybody. Um, this guy, on the other hand, is trying to learn it, doing it the right way. And if he doesn't understand something, he goes, "Hey, I need help here," which is definitely a nice thing to a lot more refreshing than the last two guys I've been trying to train. Oh, hello there, Curly. Thank you for coming in. It's a very, very rainy, dreary day today. Unlike Friday and Saturday, which were beautiful days, but I had a headache, so I couldn't enjoy them. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I'm like, hey, and then it's like, oh. So, but one of the things that with doing the track lane tonight, obviously you got to do the roadbed first. However, it's looks like it's going to be outside the range of the normal overhead camera. I don't, and the setup is not. It's not really set up to do what I'm planning on doing is, it winds up going outside the frame of the camera in both directions. So I'm going to go do something different today and use my second camera. Because if I go and do this, change to, this is the normal overhead camera, which everyone who's been watching me for a while recognizes this camera angle. However, I do have an extra camera, which I usually don't use because I haven't figured out where to put it. So this is the view we're going to use tonight. One thing is, well, transitioning between cameras, there's no bouncing because the this particular camera does not have. It's not is not connected to the blue screen. But the idea tonight is to. I got the selector plate working, or not really working, but assembled. And I'm going to see about trying to figure out where to. Originally, I drew the line to here. But the thing is, as you can see, I'm starting to think that that's probably not wide enough. So I'm going to see about maybe redrawing it over here and then going here. Now the thing is that the scenery is going to start here. We're going to basically have two tunnel portals with a sort of like a possible ridge here, so it uses a viewing block so you can't see the other one. But it's also one of those things where I haven't quite figured it out yet. And might bounce between both cameras because this camera, I'm too close this way. Well, let me change the camera a little bit. Try not. It's like I wasn't going to get anyone dizzy and all that, and then all of a sudden here I am moving the camera around it. Nah, camera's not gonna. All right. I can't go that direction, so let me go this direction. Loosen the top. All right. Yeah, I'm just literally just out of camera range here. So I might be bouncing between things. I also might be out of range of that camera. But we'll just keep on playing around with it. Oof. That did not sound like a fun weekend, Randall. Well, it's nice to know you are also on the mend. Yeah, it's one of those things of if you're not feeling well, you're and it's hard to do a lot. It is very hard to do a live stream when you're not feeling well physically. I know for myself mentally, it's like I start out feeling blah, but then eventually get to a point of going. Sometimes I actually feel better after doing a live stream because I felt like I actually did something instead of just did nothing. All right, let's see. Now, I'm not worried. Now, this is a massively wide. Very massively wide curve here, so I'm not really too worried about being too short, or too short. Trying to make it relatively. by the time it gets on here, it's going to be a tangent because originally it was going to be a tangent that was not parallel, but it looks like it's going to be a tangent that will be parallel. I have it so it's a little bit away from the backdrop, so if I need to, I can have shrubs down on the bottom here that hides the bottom of the setup. But all right, so let's grab some tape. And I'm going to tape down inside. Mainly because to use as a guide for the outside. Lemon juice and apple cider. Huh. Interesting. I've never had the. I'm not quite I'm not quite sure what the proper term would be, but I never had the discomfort of kidney stones. But I would imagine they would be very, very painful. Because, well, the body's not designed for them. All right. Now, is down on this end. I got another 6 inches to go, which is definitely out of camera range for both cameras. So what I'm going to do here, so we'll put that way. And the reason for this is to keep the, since I'm going to have to add more, keep the ends, the edges not right on top of each other. Sort of like what they do in the live stream scales and the rear railroads. Rarely do you see rails like they are in model railroads, where the rails are put it up right up against each other. The only time I've seen them is like for track circuits and all that. But if it's not a track circuit, they have a tendency to making sure that the rails are not right on, are offset with each other. I almost want to say at least 6 feet. I keep on remembering I'm using that camera, not that one. I'm trying to keep what I'm doing in the field of view of the camera above, not on the side. So sorry about that. Actually, what I could do, dink, dink, dink. Yeah, It has its own little light on it, which don't really throw much, but it should give me a sort of reminder that I'm using that camera, not the other one. All right. And let's see. Actually, before I go too nuts. All right. All right. Let's see. We grab this. Drop the pencil. Whoa! I am sorry about that. All right. Hello there, Russ and rock and roll. All right. I have seemed to knock down my camera that I was using, because it's I normally have it set up over here, and I have forgotten, since I've moved the location, that I needed to not have it where I'm knocking things over. Okay, that's what I done. That's how I hit it. Trying to make it so it was nicer on this side. Hello there, Ross. It's always a good day when someone's laying car and track and whoops. Yes, absolutely. Hello there, rail artists. Thank you for coming in. Ooh, barbecue chicken breast. But yeah, I was not planning. Well, it's one of those things of welcome to live streaming. But now I got to feel the vision a little bit closer, but there's still about 4 inches that are out of view. But oh well. So all right. So since we got the way this is the way it is, let's say we flip this over, throw on some glue, and by the end of the stream, I theoretically should have at least the roadbed down and maybe even some ties in. Now, one thing that I wound up doing, and this is sort of some of the behind the scenes stuff that I do, is I wound up picking up this very cute little small clock, and I set that sort of where I can see it, so I can actually see what time it is, because since the computer monitor is behind the camera and I'm looking forward, it's very hard to keep track of what the time is. So having this cute little clock, which if I remember correctly, it was in a local hi, I'm free bin. So the only thing I did was get the appropriate battery, and the way it is. I mean, so just your standard homemade clock, or not homemade clock, but clock mechanism, and someone built a very well, I want to say they were using probably good woodworking equipment, but just didn't put it together very well. So maybe they bought parts, or had somebody else make the parts, and maybe I almost want to say a pre-team might have put it together. It seems to be that kind of level of not quite workingness. There is. Ooh, is that an actual? Yes, that is a magnet there. So I probably could take another screw, which I don't have in front of me, and put a screw in there so that stays shut. But as you can see, it's nice and lined up here, but it's not lined up there. So that's why I'm assuming that this was a homemade project clock to it. But it serves the purpose, it keeps me on track of what the time is. All right, so speaking of time, and there's a good chance I might use up this glue tonight. Oh, there it goes. Because there is not much here. All right. That there. Bring this down. Yeah, it's a little thick, so this is a slight challenge to dry. That's okay. That's pretty much an even coverage. A little bit more back over here. Even this out. All right, let's say we flip this on. Yes, you see weathering stain from Hunterline. This is what I wound up using for the cover bridges, the barn red. Then for the other track, I got blue gray, driftwood, creosote black, and Thai brown. And got a whole bunch of them already ready to go. If I get my hand out of the way, but all ready to be thrown down. I was gonna do the gauntlet yard track first, and then happened to realize that let's do the simpler one first. Figure out where it's going to go and all that fun stuff. So we'll slope that down. And put that down. Do that one curvature. All right. Now, I just happened to realize that, a lot of times guys use model trains for, running using their locomotives to run their model trains, which is fine. I'm going to use the trains that I have for weights because, they'd be heavy. So let me grab some more locomotives, to use as weights. All right. All right. Now, for the sake of being silly, yes, if I can get these to run on cork, that would definitely be impressive. But right now, just grabbing all the locomotives to be used as weights. All right, now this one's slightly off. So let's move this back because the tenders are not as heavy as the locomotives. Yeah, there we go. All the locomotives are on. All right, now we will oh, it's not a Katie coupler on front. I thought it was a Katie coupler. All right, I guess not. All right, let's see now. Now to use this piece to make the pieces for the short sections that are not being used. I'm trying to think if I should put a locomotive on here also. No, probably wait until we actually get it wide enough. All right, now, where did I put knife? Knife. Okay, I have no knife in view. which is annoying because I thought I had a number 11 within reach. I do not. So it looks like we're going to have to go this way. All right, let's bring these back just a little bit more so I have clearance. Thinking maybe go possibly a little long. I could go short also. It's one of those things that this is road bed, so it doesn't have to be precise. We can easily hide mistakes. Let's get this out of the way. But yeah, this is just only a fraction of the locomotives that I have. When I started getting into what I want as HOW6, I was trying to buy as many of this style locomotives as possible. And the reason for that is that these are actually, from my understanding, double O gauge. So they're a slightly larger scale. But that's that's one thing about broad gauge locomotives is that they do have a tendency to look larger, just like narrow gauge has a tendency to look smaller than standard gauge. And also, I almost want to say the cylinders are about the right distance apart. So I wound up buying a lot of these. They have the mold name of Dixie Belle. But it's a model of the Sierra number 3. That's why you always look at the nameplate. It always has a 3 on it. It's because this is Sierra number 3. Now the interesting thing is that the air that I'm doing, they've been using air brakes for the past 10 years. So having the air pumps on it is prototypical. However, this was before electric lighting, so the dynamo has to go off, and the dynamo has to come off, but the headlight is still of that oil lamp style, so that can probably be on there. But from my understanding, the reason that they did this is because of, if I remember correctly, Petticoat Junction. It was a popular thing at the time, and they wanted to have a just like they do have a lot of things that are toy oriented. They wanted basically to sell a toy version of it. But the interesting thing is that what they wound up doing, thing is, when they try to do sets of do a model train set, beginners anyway, they usually, if I remember correctly, have at least including the locomotive, I want to say 6 cars on it at least. And the thing is, the TV show, it was only the locomotive and combine number 6. So if I remember correctly, Is this going to be a diorama? No, it is not. It's actually going to be a functioning micro layout. Um, it's going to be scenic up to right about here. I do have a small little selector plate. I've nicknamed the railroad pointless because, well, there's going to be no points on it. Um, but no, it's this, unlike the other dioramas I've been doing, this is actually going to be theoretically functional. We'll find out, when I get to that point. But no, I was using the dioramas to figure out how to do my scenery, and make it look decent. The interesting thing is I have enough. There's enough dioramas that I have that I've decided to try to do my golden spike this way, using all the different using the different stuff that I have. Oh, wait a second. I need to make a second one of these, don't I? So I can do the one all the way on the other end. And yeah, very small demonstration layout. But then eventually, it's like something I could use, something I can use, and figure out, basically how to do, how to do the broad gauge stuff, because it's something that's not readily, broad gauge stuff is not relatively available, specifically in the United States. Now, in Britain, they actually have the Broad Gauge Society, but they are modeling Brunel, which is southwest of England, and that is 7.25-inch gauge. My assumption is that would be HOW7. If it was to be done that way. We'll go that direction. All right. Yeah, sort of like last week. We're watching different glue dry. Last week it was super glue, but super glue wasn't really drying very quickly for some reason. This is Elmer's glue, so there's a good chance that it won't. I would have to say it won't dry immediately, but it'll be sticky enough to. I forgot the camera again. This camera. Putting glue on that. Let's see if we can move the camera just a bit over. There we go. I'll be hopefully being a little bit more in view of this camera. But yeah, next week, definitely going to be putting down hand laying track. Let's put this around. And I got glue on locomotive. However, that's okay because these locomotives I'm using more as a for parts. In fact, I already got the thing is that the model comes with traction tires. And the thing is, that as you can see here, I got 2 traction tires in here because the front did not have a traction tire. It was only the rear one. So what I've done is the ones that I wanted to keep as running locomotives, they actually all run. It's one of those things of I could have picked any of them. But the ones I wanted to keep running or not used for spare or for parts, I switched out I took the rear truck out or the rear set of drivers out and then replaced them with the front drivers of the ones I didn't want to keep. So they have actually no traction tires on them. All right. So AT transformers, petticoat junction sets. Yep. Actually, I know where there's a transformer set for sale. Which is a very odd thing, is because they don't. I want to say they're not they are Transformers brand, but unlike some of the railroad transformers that they've had over the years, they don't transform into robots, bipedal robots. Let's see, if I remember correctly, the locomotive transforms into a satellite tracker. Let's see, the caboose transforms into a jet plane. Forgot what I think there's a boxcar, which I forgot what that transforms into. And so there's some other pieces also, but they do not transform. They transform into other vehicles, not into robots. So, but yeah, it's one of those things of once getting done with. That's where that is. All right, there's a small gap there. Yeah, the glue, the PVA glue is sticky enough that if I needed to, I can start putting down ties. Let's say we take this off. Since we got it now aligned properly. And so even though this layout itself isn't big enough to do a quote unquote golden spike, between the dioramas and this, I do believe I have enough to. Oh, there's the knife. Of course, after I don't need it. It's interesting. It's like being black. It sort of camouflaged itself into the area. Now it looks like this is going to be the last of my white glue, but I do have clear glue, which I'm not quite sure what the difference or how they're able to get it clear. The funny thing is that the white glue does dry clear to begin with, so I have to mix the two in. because it is definitely getting towards the end of the bottle. Yep, starting to really drip. Yeah, I'm definitely towards the end of this bottle. Yeah, I'm done here. It is done. All right. So what do people think about this different camera angle? Good, bad, or indifferent? I'm still conscious of the camera up there instead of this one. That's why I'm unfortunately going out of frame a lot. I do apologize on that, but it's not the most exciting thing in model trains. Because obviously operation is a lot more exciting than in doing this. Now, I believe Sidetrack Sunday is John, because he doesn't have to worry about doing taxes anymore. It's one of those things of for some people who retire, they're still doing the job. There was a since I've been working at my current place, we've actually had 3 people retire, and they've still come back at a limited capacity. I'm like going like, wait, you guys are retired. You don't have to be here. Especially with the one, I sort of made the joke. It was March. It was the I forgot which. It was the Tuesday before April 1st. Forgot exactly which March it was. But the thing is, it's like she could have turned around and pulled a April Fool's joke, said, no, I'm still working here. And the funny thing is, she did come back. So not on April 1st, but she did come back. So here I am making a slight joke about it, and turns out she actually did, come back. All right, there's that. Why does that not look right? Oh well. All right. Yes, you are absolutely correct, Derek. The one of the things that a lot of no matter what the genre is, there's always boring stuff that has to be done. But it's one of those things of a lot of YouTubers, especially the big ones, they don't show the boring stuff. It's always excitement. It's always and the thing is that that's not how it is. I mean, life. There's a lot of boring things in life. So there's a lot of boring stuff in between all the excitement. All right, it looks like I might need to grab another locomotive. Now, from my understanding, let's see. Now, from my understanding, now this is a River Rossi. Now, from my understanding, this is an actual HO scale locomotive. And if you wind up putting it next to, let's see, let's move this out of the way. But if you put this one next to, let's make sure we have the right light here. Let me put this one up here. But if you put this one next to the HO scale one, as you can see, it's much beefier. It's not necessarily, and it's slightly taller, especially in the cabs. But if you notice, everything is slightly taller. Everything is just slightly beefier. And I've heard someone is saying that this model is actually mostly close to S scale, which is fine because of HOW6 is 1 millimeter narrower than S gauge. So it winds up being unfortunately the prototypes are not apples to apples. But all right, that looks like that's gonna be good for tonight. Well, or at least for that track. So obviously next week is going to be laying ties down on that. Now on this one, I didn't glue it all the way down, but then also happened to realize that even though it has the gauntlet track and etc., I'm going to have to move this. So I got to get a hold of a scraper, scrape this up, and possibly figure out what I'm going to do for the spacing, because I know in HO scale it's usually 2-inch center lines, but I do not know what that is in S scale. Basically, what I'm going to be using is for the track standards, and it's going to be a combination of HO and S scale. Using HO for clearances, but for spacing and track and etc., that would be using S gauge because it's closer to that. So it makes sense to do that until they actually make a standard for it. And right now I might be on track to I'm thinking about making some articles to. Wait a second. Phillips, there's screws here. They're way too big. Basically, to do some articles, not only for the NMRA, the local group, but also things that I'm actually tempted to actually write an article for Narrow Gauge and Short Line Gazette for their next year's April issue, because, well, it's broad gauge and they're all about narrow gauge and narrow gauge and short lines. And this, being, you're practically seeing the entire side of the entire layout. I mean, except for if I move this up. Yeah, the smokestack, which is just out of camera range, is at the edge of the layout. And you can see the other end there. So you're actually seeing pretty much the entire layout. And the scenic portion is only coming up to here. Or about here. I haven't figured out exactly where it's going to go yet. But, it's one of those things of, as Derek has said, sometimes you got to do the boring stuff first. And watching glue dry is one of those boring things. So the plan for next week is to do the yard and the gauntlet track with the yard. So I might, at least I would say the road bed for it. One of the things I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do the track. I do have a Fast Tracks HO scale jig, but I will have to do like the insides of it and then figure out how to get it so it winds up being a gauntlet track on one side and 6-foot gauge on the other. So I don't know how that's going to go. Originally, I was going to plan this as have this as the gauntlet track and then a Y, but unfortunately, I don't have a Y jig. I have one that's left or right. So that's the one to look out for. And as Eagle Eye's view will see that it's almost 7:45. So let me switch over. Nice, Randall. That's one of the things I had to, actually probably get together with from what I understand, I think there's about 4 guys that are doing S gauge. And I'm going to see about having to basically going to them to say, I was going to say, what the hell is this? It's a thing of tissues. But basically for the mechanisms, because I think it'll probably be a lot easier to convert an S gauge mechanism for HO scale instead of trying to rebuild an HO scale, taking out the axles, putting a longer axle in, making a longer axle and going that direction. Whereas with S scale, it's like turning around and shaving off a 0.5 millimeter off the axle and then Yeah, there's definitely not that much of a variety out there, but since I'm scratch building something that's not made at all, um, wow, nice. Yeah, it's one of those things of there's there's fans of pick scale era, etc. There has been one thing I was actually thinking of today. You know, picking up groceries and all that. They had in their seasonal aisle. They had I can't think what the name of it is, but it's a table that used for breakfast in bed. It's like it has the legs there. You put it on the legs, and then you can have your breakfast and all that. And I was looking at that, going like, how, uh, how to make a layout out of it, and because of the size of it, I almost want to say you have to either go N or Z scale. It's HO and up is not going to work, uh, especially if you know, especially if you decide to do something that goes around. Uh, but you also got to think switches. Even if you have a yard and all that, switches do take up room. Um, but I didn't see. I did the oddly it didn't have a price on it, so that's why I didn't grab it. I did wind up buying some other stuff today. Uh, yeah, much in S scale with final says custom painted. Yeah, that makes sense. S scale. I honestly don't know that much about it, but since there's sort of like the O scale has sort of the same similar debate between tin plate or the toy locomotives and the scale locomotives. The main difference with the S scale is that they don't have the gauge problem either. The reason why I use HOW6 is because I saw a forum going between Proto 48 and what they call OW5, because O scale is actually the gauge is actually figured out to be 5 foot, not the standard gauge. And there's a massive debate on that. Originally, I was gonna say, was it Proto 80? I don't know how they. I just remembered that I do not know how they changed the nomenclature for Proto, because this would be Proto 87, but I don't know if they still use the N3 or the N2 or whatever that they use. So it would be a W6 for me, but the W is actually not it's not a NMRA standard, so it could go B for broad gauge, so it'd be HOW6, and then insert differences in different gauges. But yeah, I'm gonna say kind of wrap this up. And I do believe I want to say it is going to be let's see, got that. Restore that. Not that one. All right. Well, I do believe it's John for tonight. Let's see. Okay, got that one. Yes, it is. Sidetrack Sunday is the Schuylkill Valley Railroad. So I'll see everyone there. Oh, of course, then I see it. I see it in the chat for Randall. Thank you. Yes, have a nice night, everyone. And uh, I believe the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around.